Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you can hear me okay. This is Books Nelson with the Bro Show, and my guy's wearing the wrong clothes. So, I've seen this topic pop off on 2K Gamer, and I wanted to address it because it's a really important topic for the community to get a hold of. And before I get into it, let me go ahead and just link this to the thread that's talking about this. So just give me 1 second. I'll let people file in. I apologize for the delay. So the question is, did YouTubers ruin MyTeam by spreading around the cheese? The YouTubers are so thirsty for views, they're so hungry for views, that they told the community about the cheese, and now every Tom, Dick, and Harry can go out there and rim run and deep hash and, settings, clamps, and full court press as far as my team's concerned behind the back when that was out. Is it all the YouTubers' fault? Did the YouTubers take the sanctity of the 2K competitive community and bring it down by breaking the game? That's the question, right? And I understand where people are coming from. In fact, I understand where people are coming from so much that in private conversations with the developers, long before any of this happened, years ago, I warned them. I said, guys, and here's where I relate to you. Here's where I relate to you a little story that I related to them. I told them that as 2K transitions from a more single-player game to a multiplayer competitive game, it is inevitable that as people learn how to play the game, you have to change paths from avoiding what's cheesy in the game and just understanding, like, okay, a small percentage of the community is going to figure out what's bad about, not bad, but what's exploitable about the game. They're going to exploit it, but as long as a small percentage does it and nobody else does, we as developers don't really have to get too worried about it. You have to change out of that thinking, because what's going to happen is the more competitive this game gets, the more the focus that's kind of a W. I'll take that. The more the focus is going to shift towards how do I win at this game, all right? And the first step of this was actually the park. Like, the MyTeam community is just later to the party because the MyTeam community also has other factors in it besides competition that make it entertaining to play, right? Like, it's entertaining to collect cards. It's entertaining to build your team up. There's many modes that are entertaining. They have a lot of offline stuff to do that's entertaining. Just playing the auction house and sniping and all of that stuff is entertaining. So with many different aspects of entertainment available to you in MyTeam was inevitably going to be the last community to suffer from this. But there's a dark side to that we're going to get on in a second. But the point being, I saw this all happen before, and I literally warned everybody who would listen to me at 2K directly that this would happen. I told them in these exact terms. I said, in the Street Fighter community, this has happened. And here's exactly what happened in the Street Fighter community, right? Let me switch back to the YouTube stream real quick. So the Street Fighter American community had this attitude before, right? Where the Street Fighter community had this attitude in America in particular, right? It was divided into East Coast and West Coast for the most part. And all of the East Coast people and all of the West Coast people had their own quote unquote cheese, right? Their own combos, their own little tricks that they found in the game, this thing you couldn't get out of. And maybe one player will find it. And when the tournaments came, what would happen was people would start hiding their cheese, right? They'd start I'm going to try to win as long as possible without revealing it, because if they see it early in the tournament, they might figure it out. And this went on for years. And then what happened was Street Fighter competition got even bigger, right? So not only did it go from East Coast, West Coast, but we started playing Japanese people. And what happened was, when the Japanese people started coming over here, there was one Japanese guy over here, Daigo Himahara, he beat everybody up. But it's Daigo's a genius, that's fine. But what we found was everybody in Japan would whoop America's natural asses. All that East Coast, West Coast beef didn't matter even a teeny tiny bit, because the Japanese people washed everybody, right? And this went on for a long time in America. This attitude was still stuck in some players' heads. I'm not showing you that. Why should I show you how to beat me? All right? But here's the difference between the arcade scene in Japan and in America. America's huge, right? You know, thousands and thousands of miles. Japan's just a couple little islands. And most of their arcades are in a few little places. So even though there's a lot of Japanese players and a lot of people in Japan, they're all sharing tech. And what happens is they come out with the cheese, the counter to the cheese, the counter to the counter to the cheese. So by the time an American plays a Japanese person, they know all their dumb little tricks. They know all their cheese. They know how to get around all their cheese. How does this relate to 2K? So the difference in Street Fighter is that in Street Fighter, people can go to Capcom and say, this is broken. And because Capcom is only making a competitive game, they don't care about anything except one person beating another person up, right? That's the only concern for Capcom. So when something's broken in a Capcom game, Capcom is like, oh my God, we got to get going on top of that. Oh, is that an infinite combo? We got to get that out of the game. Oh my God, is this unblockable? We have to remove that in a patch. Whereas with 2K, their attitude would be, how many people know about that though? Is that ruining the game? Because we have a whole nother game to make next year. So that I told them that attitude is going to come back to bite you eventually. You have to anticipate that the competitive community will eventually take over this game. And it is the nature of competitive communities to share information. Because when all you care about is winning and then nothing else, and somebody beats you down, you go, okay, how do I deal with that? And then you and your friends all figure it out, and then you get on top of it, right? And the thing is, the internet is one little neighborhood, pun intended, right? It's not this country or that country. Every region is essentially the same. So even if you didn't have YouTubers spreading this information out, the competitive people in the 2K community would be seeing this stuff and figuring this stuff out on their own at an increasingly rapid rate. So people should be thankful that the YouTubers are spreading it faster. So instead of 1% or 2% of the community knowing how to do this stuff, you get to the point where 5, 10, 15, 25% of the community knows how to do it. And here's the thing, 25% of the community is still a relative minority. However, when you play the game and you go online, the chances of you meeting 1/4 of the community is very, very high. So to you, it feels like every other game you face a cheeser, because you don't think about all those games where you face some scrub that you just wiggity wash off the controls because you're like, well, that guy doesn't know how to play. I don't think about him. You only think about the games where somebody did something to you that was physically painful, right? Somebody did something to you that you were like, why can't I play the game? And this is a phrase that is very common in fighting games. That character doesn't let you play the game. That player doesn't let you play the game because they essentially just put you in a corner and pin you down and neutralize all your options. You can't find the gap to fight back. Now, sometimes that's because you suck, but sometimes it's because the game is bad. And I've been telling you guys this from the get-go, that this is not a good game competitively. And most importantly, this is not a good game when it comes to MyTeam, because the game is not designed to have every character have Hall of Fame clamps, have every character be over 6'8", have every character be 99 speed, have every character be have Hall of Fame range extender. The game is not designed to operate that way, right? What's up, Kobe? So when the game is not designed to operate that way, you have to listen. So listen to what I'm saying right now. When I say that the game is not designed to operate that game, in a competitive game, everything is designed, right? As in, they say, I made this character, I made this move. What can I do to give you the ability to respond to this move? Okay, I put in a Hadouken, I'm gonna allow you to jump over it. Okay, people are jumping on me, I'll give you a Shoryuken. So on and so forth. Same thing with You know, in 2K, there's a certain sense of that in the park and the archetypes, which is why the most popular competitive thing to watch in 2K is 2v2 and 3v3 park. Above Pro-Am, above 2K League, and above MyTeam, that's the stuff that's most popular to watch because it's the most balanced, because there's more space on the court and there's more counterplay. Why is there more counterplay? Because it was designed to have counterplay. 2K purposefully said, well, we don't want the guards to be too fast. Well, we don't guards to be tall and be able to shoot and dunk at the same time. Well, we don't want everybody to speed boost. Well, if you make a really tall big, we want to make them slow. And so the archetype system regulates a lot of what you can do in park. That archetype system is a design of the game where there are counters in place. Are they super successful at that? No, they have a long way to go to be successful at that. But in MyTeam, they are literally giving you a mode that is not designed, right? So when I say it's not designed for that, I mean that very literally. Like, the people who make the game don't go, well, what if you have a character that's 99 everything and 6'9"? How do you counter him? And he has every Hall of Fame badge offensively and defensively. They never sat down and asked that question because the entire rest of the game is regulated against that situation. All right? So when you're asking who ruined MyTeam, the overpowered cards that are literally not designed for competitive play ruins MyTeam, or anybody who looks at a team that's all 7 feet and above, 90-something speed, 90-something 3, Hall of Fame badges in every relevant category. You look at that and expect that to be competitive, expect that to have balance. No, this is a mode that once those cards are released is not a fair competitive environment. And this goes to the design of 2K overall. In 5v5 2K especially, there are too many contact animations and animations that are seeking contact, right? So when an animation you expect to get contact or you get contact, there's a random factor in that, right? So, and this is what I've been telling you guys this on message boards. I've said it in a few videos, but once you get players of really, really high skill in 5v5 period in 2K, even well-designed 5v5, there are too many 2P animations, two-player animations that regulate the play that the player doesn't decide, right? When you jump for a block, if you play this game, everybody has done it. If you jump for a block and you go, why did my guy jump away from the ball? There's no reason why he jumped away from the ball. That had nothing to do with your skill. That was just randomness. Now, every game has a little bit of luck, a little bit of randomness, but there's a threshold, right, where you pass that line and there's too much randomness for the game to be competitive. So you take that randomness that's in 2K that makes it a objectively inferior competitive game to Rainbow Six, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all these games that are designed to be competitive, right? Rocket League, what have you. It's objectively less competitive at every level. But once you get to 5v5, it's even less competitive than it is in 2v2 or 3v3, right? Or 1v1. Because now you have more random animations in the game. And then when you put in a whole bunch of 7 feet tall, max wingspan, almost max speed, max jumper, max badge players that literally the developers never even thought about creating that, a balanced environment for that, then you have a situation where you're playing an extremely random, extremely uncompetitive mode. And the fact that people are figuring out how broken that is at an early point in the year, the only thing that accomplishes is it shows the developers over and over again what needs to be fixed about their game, and it puts their feet to the fire in terms of what do we need to do to be better, right? So like earlier in the year, you guys can look at this on Twitter. I tweeted to LD2K right in front of everybody. I said, dude, this between the leg spam is a serious problem. This is way early in the year. I was like, it's a serious problem. They need to add a vulnerability hurt box in the animation on the ball or something so that you can steal the ball, because it's only a matter of time before this becomes really popular in the community. Fast forward a month and a half, 2 months later, oh no, they're tweening up and down the court. If everybody was tweening up and down the court literally the first day, they would have patched that. But because you guys didn't catch on to it until February, March, April, they're already on 2K21. They're not going to address it. When something's broken on launch of the game or in that launch window before Christmas because they know they're going to get that extra Christmas push, that's something they have to fix because it's a part of the narrative. But when it's something that doesn't get discovered until later in the year or only a few people know about it, not only does it not get fixed that year, it might be something that stays in the game year after year after year after year. And in that situation, that makes 2K a worse game. And the chance of that game being competitive goes down further and further and further. So YouTubers, quote unquote, spreading the cheese and spreading these tactics and all that other stuff to make the game toxic or whatever. No, they're showing 2K how bad of a game they made. And now the ball is in 2K's court to make a better game. It's that simple. And if 2K doesn't make a good game, you're not going to have a good game to play. That's just the nature of the internet. You don't need YouTube for that. Like, it would have been message boards. Guys, when Street Fighter went through that, there was no YouTube. It was just that Street Fighter was more competitive, right? It had nothing to do with YouTube. YouTube is just the way 2K does it because message boards aren't popular and they don't need to, right? Because it's profitable, it's monetizable. I personally brought the MyTeam community, the Pro Hezi, the Pro Hezi into Jumper, and a whole bunch of stuff that nobody was using and so on and so forth. I'm not saying I'm solely responsible for showing it. I'm just saying I'm one of the earliest people to show you guys a lot of these things and a lot of stuff. And I didn't even pretend to invent that stuff. I told you guys, this is just something that I, as a Park Rec Center Pro-Am player, know that I'm noticing you guys don't even know about. But when I watch the 250K tournament and I see the best players, I'm like, they know about it. But when I watch a regular MyTeam player, a regular MyTeam YouTuber, they don't know about it at all. So I'm like, oh, maybe the community doesn't know about it. And that's the entire purpose of my channel, was to elevate the conversation in MyTeam so that they're caught up with the rest of the game. So now this is an inevitable, unavoidable growth period that the MyTeam community was going to have to go through. This period where the MyTeam community realizes just how bad of a game this is. That's what's happening. It's not the community that's cheesing you. It's not the toxicity, even though people are toxic, even though the community can be terrible. It's not the community. It's the fact that the game is not great and the mode is the worst part of the game at the end of the year on a competitive level. Playing with all 99 players deletes any basketball strategy you have. One of the key things on defense is the defensive IQ of, out of all of these players, which one you should leave open. And if every player has a 99-3 and that player is not compromising in every other area, automatically the mode is compromised from any basketball IQ sort of standpoint. So I don't know what, old heads and so on and so forth thought they was doing competitively before, but I'm telling you straight up, this year, whether or not YouTubers spread it and so on and so forth, you would not be playing a competitive basketball game at this point of the year in MyTeam. You'd be playing a nonsense, quote unquote, fantasy mode where you're just running up and down court and shooting the ball like idiots with players that have little to no resemblance to their real life counterparts. Now, if you enjoy that, I'm not mad at you. I enjoy a whole lot of bad shit. I like 80s music. You know what I'm saying? All 80s music ain't good. I like action movies and comedies and stuff, and all of that stuff is definitely not good. So you're totally free to like something that's not good. But you can't take something that's not good and then expect it to be good. And in order to be competitive, something has to be good. You can only make a competitive game simultaneously while making a good game. So take all that energy you got for the quote-unquote YouTubers, and by the way, I still haven't monetized this channel, and clearly I can because I'm way over the the hourly views and the subs needed to monetize. But like I said, I don't want to put commercials on my video until I really am missing out. I'd rather you guys be able to watch my stuff without commercials getting in the way until it's a point where it's like, I just can't turn down that paycheck, right? So I will monetize one day, but it's not like an urgent thing. I'd rather just give you the information straight up without this being about me making money. But I say this both in defense of any YouTuber that shares information, whether they're making money for it or not. That's not your problem. Turn all that energy towards the developers. Turn all that energy towards giving feedback to 2K now that you've been cheesed with this stuff, you know exactly what you don't like about the game, and you can prove it because everybody's doing it. Whereas months ago, when I said, hey, tweening, it didn't even have a name at the time. The park people called it a dribble glitch because it was in the game last year. But when I gave the message about tweening before, LD2K said he passed it on. He responded to me. LDK is the homie. And listen, this is not a knock on the devs. This is just about the situation you're in. You have to put the pressure on the devs to make changes or suffer. So if you play MyTeam and it's completely broken and not any fun, and you legitimately don't want to play and you want to move on, and you let the devs know what the problem was, now it's on them. If you want people to not complain about the game and fix the game and play the game and be competitive, make a game more competitive. Stop exploiting these cards to this degree. Exploit them in a way that leaves the game in a competitive state. That's it. I don't want 2K to not make money. Right? I want them to make a lot of money so that they can make a better and better game. I want them to have more resources because I'm selfish. I'm a basketball fan. I want 2K to be the best game ever because I'm a basketball fan. And if the best game ever is an NBA game with like park and all that stuff, I win because that's my favorite sport. So I want them to win. I want them to make money, but there's a limit. There's a matter of competitive integrity. And I say this directly to the devs. And I know sometimes you guys watch these videos. You do not have the power to do this, but there has to be a line in the sand if you want to have a good game where you say, this is the line of competitive integrity. We designed to be the game. We designed for the game to be this way. And if we cross this line, the game will not play well. And I don't want to cross a line where the game doesn't play well. Other companies that do very, very well make that decision. Blizzard makes that decision. Blizzard could easily say, you know what, we're going to just charge you $5 a character. And you know what, we're going to make a character so broken that everybody has to buy the character. They could do that and ruin Overwatch and watch Overwatch die in a year. You know what I'm saying? Every game could do that. Call of Duty could be like, you know what, we're going to release a gun that one-shots you from across the map, no matter what mode you're in, has 100% ADS speed, and speeds you up when you run. They could do that, but they have competitive integrity. Right? Capcom has competitive integrity. League of Legends, Riot, they have competitive integrity. And 2K has no competitive integrity. I accuse you of that. I accuse. And you need to be better for this game. You need to have competitive integrity. And you know you don't. And if I'm wrong, tell me personally. My DMs on my personal account is open. Call me out. Books, you're wrong. But you know that I'm right. And I'm not going to let the community fight each other over the developers not having competitive integrity. Once everybody shows you a cheese move, a cheese tactic, a cheese setting, the developers are supposed to go and fix it if they are a company trying to make a well-designed competitive game. There are many good reasons for them not to go and fix it. Not just bad reasons, but good reasons. Like literally we're working on 2K21. I feel you. I sympathize. I do. It's a hard job to balance an entire competitive game while making a brand new competitive game that everybody expects to be a AAA super fire game that you only had 9 months to make, especially now with next gen. So I'm not just being a jerk. I get it. But this is just a truth about gaming. This is not my opinion. This is a truth about gaming. If you want a good competitive game, you have to have competitive integrity. It's black and white. It's black and white. It is unavoidable. And no matter what influences and temptations that you have to make the game not competitive or leave the game in a not competitive state, it doesn't change the rule. The money that you make from your not competitive game doesn't change the rule. Everybody with a competitive game has to have a competitive standard and competitive integrity. Thanks for watching. Done.